All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday Morning Quartersback. My name is UltraDavid, of course. I'm here with some match analysis provided to you by our upstairs expert. We'll go to the press box for that shortly. Just wanted to introduce this briefly beforehand. This is going to be a Mortal Kombat 11 match analysis, and the reason for that is that it's a game that we here at studios are still very much playing and caring about. However, there just aren't as many big... There's not a Pro Tour going on, right? There's a Pro Tour for SF5 still going on. It's very obvious when a big match happens. Well, that means it's easy to figure out what to talk about. There's still a lot of community stuff going on in the MK scene, though, and I just figured, you know what? I'll just take a match that I watched recently and I enjoyed, and we'll analyze that instead. This is from the Coliseum, which is, regular tournament streams that Mr. Aquaman does. Thanks to him for giving me permission to do analysis for this. It's a match between TheMightyUnjust and Sooneo, two players who are definitely strong at the moment. TheMightyUnjust, over the last, honestly, just year and a half, 2 years, has become one of the best players in the world. And that from, a player who was in relative obscurity. Super, super fast rise, very, very strong player, good with a lot of different characters. And Sooneo's been around for a long time. He tends to like to play defensive zoning style characters. And he certainly found that in this game. So what we're going to watch, actually, is a very classic zoning versus rushdown matchup. Sooneo's the zoner. TheMightyUnjust is the one trying to get in. And it's just a real good example of that kind of gameplay in MK11. All right, enough of an intro. Let's go up to our analyst desk where our analyst, UltraDavid, is going to have the call. Hey, production, did you see how the camera zoomed in so slowly right there? Can you guys take a look at that? Okay, you'll fix it for next time? You better. Cool, thanks a lot, David, on the field. Appreciate the call, sending it upstairs here. So again, match between Sooneo, RoboCop, and TheMightyUnjust starts with Spawn. RoboCop in this game is a very is maybe the most dedicated zoner. He has non-zoning options. Some people play him with command grab, for example, but he, at least as Sooneo plays, is a very zone-heavy character. He does have mobility. His dashes are pretty good, and he has, at least in the build that Suneo's playing, he has an air dash that is safe on block, an air charge move that is safe on block, and can in fact do a crushing blow at max range. So that's the Sooneo side. TheMightyUnjust is going to be playing Spawn. Spawn is a very mobile character. He has some really, really good footsies options. He has a really, really good projectile. He has an anti-projectile special move as well to absorb a projectile, and if he does so, he can get a crushing blow. He's very damaging if he finds the right hit. He can get on hit restands into plus frames, into more pressure, so he's a great choice if you're trying to get in, right? That's the theory anyway, that TheMightyUnjust is going to be doing here. All right, so with that setup, let's head into the game. Production, send it over, please. Yeah, everything's still working okay? Okay, great. Thanks a lot, production. Appreciate that. So here we go. This is, again, going to be TheMightyUnjust versus Sooneo. We'll start the match. Again, as we walk through this, as per usual, what we do is we let each round play, and then we'll go back and check it out after that if there's anything in particular that we want to highlight. So let's begin. Here, of course, in the University of California Memorial Stadium, you had a great view of the Campanile on the Berkeley campus. Let's begin. Obviously Spawn on the left, RoboCop on the right. Again, RoboCop, very zone-heavy character, at least in the way that Suneo's playing. He wants to be shooting guns from far away. You'll notice oftentimes that Sooneo and many RoboCops will do this, spend a lot of bar quickly, just to make sure that they maintain distance, even if it's just on block, right? It does pretty good chip, pretty good pushback. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye as well on the mobility that RoboCop has. There's the air charge, for example. He had jumped off of the interactable, of course, threatens it again right there. This range is so terrifying versus Spawn. We'll go back and look at that in particular because that is a really good spot for him. That range where his chain, stand 3 into 4, really, really good. Great pressure up close, that's plus on block, what he just tried. So a lot to talk about right away in terms of how this match is going to go overall. We'll go back and look at it in a bit. Spawn can really delay that fireball follow-up that you just saw right there. It is something that he can hang on to for quite a bit and actually hit confirm on hit, even from far away, right? All right, cool. So let's go back and take a look at a few of the things here in this first round to talk about, because they're going to be big as we move on. So even right at the beginning, right? That fireball right there, again, you can delay it a lot. That means that it's a bit of a risk for the opponent to try to interrupt. If they think that that's what you're going to do, they'll block. If they think that you're just going to try to fake it, which is what the read is here from Sooneo. Suneo's going to go in. We see forward 3, which is a really important hit confirm tool for RoboCop right there. Another important thing right off the bat is that gunshot, the Cobra Cannon, on hit, you can amplify it, you get a bunch more damage, you get full screen. However, the opponent can break away, and if you amplified it to try to get that extra damage in space, they can actually punish you as they get up, right? So we see Sooneo not do the amplify. We see MightyUnjust break away, hoping that Sooneo did the amplify. Just it's a mix-up one way or the other. Sooneo stays safe. MightyUnjust comes off both bars. This is a big deal. And so we have this distance game. Now, like I said, Sooneo will oftentimes just spend that bar for the distance. I mean, if you go back and take a look at what this does on block, right? It's good damage even on block. It's huge space control. And now Spawn has to get back in. One thing about Spawn, he's got a good wave dash. His block dashing forward is fast. He goes far quickly. Right, again, right? Pressing the sort of zoning advantage by using bar pretty often. This right here is plus on block, right? If you can make the opponent block it like in this situation or from further away as well, that's going to be plus on block. And that means that Sooneo, again, has more zoning control. You see it on hit, good damage as well. Okay, so here's the mobility that it comes from RoboCop. Let's watch this. So one thing about NK11 is that you can do air actions pretty regularly, which means that even if you whiff stuff in the sky, even if you're jumping off an interactable, you can still do special moves, right? So here we see Sooneo try that, hoping to see something from MightyUnjust that he could punish. MightyUnjust knows about that, obviously just blocks. Okay. Here's the danger spot. This situation here, let's see, it comes out again. Yeah, stand 3, stand 4. Stand 3, 4, I should say. That chain right there, there's no hurt box in that. You can't hit him. He gets to attack you, and you're not able to really attack him back. Now, this is a really scary spot. RoboCop can't punish 3-4 at max range on block. You're stuck there. And so the MightyUnjust can pressure. He could do 3-4 into fireball, into follow-up, another fireball. Again, that amplified that you can do really late. Maybe he does only 3 and then moves forward for a grab. Maybe he just does it again, 3-4 into another 3-4 for chip damage if nothing else. Corner control if nothing else. It's a scary spot to be, and in fact, it is stand 3 into the dash forward grab, right? So that's a dangerous spot to be. Again, Sooneo out of there. So that's a lot of the sort of fundamentals of this. Even this situation right here, this jump back kick in the sky, he could have then still done the air charge after that. So, you know, you got to pay attention. Just because the opponent did something in the sky doesn't mean that they can't still do something else in the sky. All right. So let's move on to the next round, which again, we're just going to watch through. And if there's anything of note, we'll go back and check it out.
I can't tell if that was what the animation of the forward dash recovery looked like, or if he tried to forward dash and then back forward to absorb.
So flawless blocking, super important. You can see how little chip Spawn took for having done a flawless block right there, whereas regular block, as we saw before, does pretty good chip. Yep, okay, a little bit of a funky use. Oh, it's cool setup. We'll go back and look at this as well. Tried to steal a turn. Did Sooneo. Punish comes from MightyUnjust. Oh, sick follow-up. Yeah, there's right. So Sooneo thought that it was time to press a button. No, but that, again, delayed fireball was still there. There's that 3-4. Again, look at that control that it has right there. Super, super strong. All right, that setup right there. Amplified grenade It's just going to explode after a while. It's just a
Right there.
timer situation. Now, because he has the air charge, he can move forward really fast. Sooneo knows that he gets another turn after this, right? Because the grenade is still down there. So that setup right there is basically a way to cover this kind of uncomfortable spot. I was talking about that 3-4 range, right?
Right there. And
From where he begins this dash,
talking, they could just come off it right
we
there.
can find it right. Yeah, okay, a little bit. You can barely see it here, but that's maybe just outside of the 3-4 range. And that begins to be where you're worried as RoboCop, because Spawn can start up the offense, can start up the pressure really quickly from that range. And RoboCop doesn't really have fast, far buttons to be able to contend. Up close, he's got some nice hit confirms. But from this kind of mid-range, he gets uncomfortable. So Sooneo, I love this to sort of preemptively take back a situation. Up close, you know, he tries out a hit confirm, no dice. He tries to steal a turn. What does this mean? This flamethrower is unsafe. If he had another bar to amplify with, he could do follow-up, in which case he would have beaten, you know, whatever button Sooneo tries. He doesn't. Sooneo sees that. It could also have been the case that after the forward 3-2, he didn't do anything, and so maybe Sooneo could have, if the opponent had pressed a button there, the flamethrower would have interrupted this. Right, so little timings. Frame data is a big deal in MK11, but at the same time, you can steal so many turns with so many other things that, you know, whether something is, you know, +4, -7, even whatever it may be, is not as important as it may be in other games.
Seems kind of.
In any case, MightyUnjust gets good damage, as you can see. I mean, basic spawn combos are doing 300 plus. Big spawn combos. I mean, if you got the right loadout, big spawn combos are doing 600. I mean, that's rare. But at minimum, mostly he's going to get about 300, 350 into a restand, into a plus strands restand. So, okay. Let's move on to the next round. And you can really see, I think, at this point, how one character's chasing, the other one is trying to be at range. Closer in, he becomes uncomfortable. So this, again, that 3/4 range, yes, RoboCop's happy there. This is the worst spot.
Jail right here.
Oh boy, just had a great read to get out of there.
Luckily, RoboCop has that knee that
And look, a big part of why Sooneo has the air dash, has the air charge in this game,
so effing annoying.
is that he wants to have that mobility, right? He wants to be able to get out of the corners more easily. He wants to be able to go at least up close in some situations, because it's a little bit less uncomfortable than being at, you know, 1/3 screen. Yeah, this screen right here. And then probably just chip, yeah. On the right side, you can see that there's no defensive meter, which means that he's not going to have access to the fact that in MK11, if you do have defensive bar, you can survive 2 hits of chip where otherwise you wouldn't. Well, he doesn't have that, obviously, so that's going to be that. So the chase ends up working out for MightyUnjust.
Did he cut him in half? Oh, didn't have the bar. Didn't have the bar.
Didn't have it.
That was the MightyUnjust, ladies and gentlemen. Not only is it just
It's pretty cool,
knowledge,
you know?
execution, like,
I will say that. Spawn looks pretty cool.
he is just such a good player.
All right, cool. So it's the same loadouts. You can take a look at it here. Didn't get to see that earlier, but charging Hellspawn is the special move that was the launcher, ends up doing a lot of damage if the opponent doesn't break away. Soul Forfeit means that he can get rid of some of his bars, and in return, always has access to crushing blows. This is what allows you to get huge damage combos. So if you need to make a comeback or something in the final round, this is a huge tool for that. Flamethrower, we saw, again, unsafe on block. On hit, gives you plus frames, you get to pressure, you can also steal turns with it. The charge, talked about that a lot. And then the low auto 9. This is the move that every single RoboCop uses in every single loadout. The other two, you know, you see a lot of variety. Command grab, high shot, road spikes, probably something I'm forgetting as well, but this one is always here. All right, here we go.
Chance here. Let the machine take the wheel. It knows what it's doing.
Okay, so again, Sooneo starting out by jumping backwards. He really wants to get that distance. He spends bar to get that distance. Again, you can see even on block, you are pushed back really far. The first of that is a high, so, you know, technically you can duck it, but the follow-ups are mids, you can't duck those.
All you gotta worry
He's got
about.
the low gun,
Yep,
so
exactly.
he's also got the KB for it as well. If he
Yep, calling that out. Again, there it is, right? Air action, still have access.
You'll see what MightyUnjust just went through, guys. You know, this is the...
Oh, specifically trying to call out that the 3-4 was probably going to come from spawn. That shield right there is a parry.
Because of the rifle.
And that's exactly when Unjust didn't do it. What a smart player.
GG's. And that's...
Okay, so distance achieved for Sooneo. Here he threatens again. Oh, beautiful. And now, how do you avoid chip damage? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this move here.
Oh, boy.
From spawn. I did mention that he has an anti-projectile option. This is it right here. So he's charging it up. And you see, he's just gonna absorb, right? You can cancel this on block it safe. And if you absorb a projectile and then you hit the opponent, you crushing blow, you get a big damage. So this is him trying to find the right spot. But as you can see, he does it from way too far away, and it whiffs, and he gets punished. But that move right there is always something that, as RoboCop, you got to think about. You know, I mentioned that range where Sooneo felt uncomfortable. I think we found it again a little earlier here. All right, as he sticks out the amplified grenade at some point.
All you gotta worry
He's got the low gun.
Yep,
So
exactly.
he's also got the KB for it as well. If again, that's what MightyUnjust pushes the button. And gets
Yeah, you can see how he's kind of frozen in that position. Yeah, spawn moving forward.
What MightyUnjust just went through, guys. You know, this is the...
All that stuff is safe.
Oh my goodness, the
Ooh,
evolution
trying to go for the parry.
of offense is you have to sometimes forward dash and crouch.
Yeah, it's just a bad spot to be. Oh, sick anti-air.
Low shot. GG's.
Okay, so range comes. Yeah, this situation, right? Again, this is about where that projectile special starts to come into play. Certainly now, even closer up. So that's a space that, as RoboCop, feels a little bit uncomfortable. You're taking a little bit of a risk, at least when you do a projectile. You'd rather be farther away, or you'd rather be up close. There's a gap there where
Neutral jump in.
spawn feels a little bit more comfortable.
Did you see him
Come on,
do
no,
empty jump, neutral jump?
I did. Like, who? Did you see him get caught by that as well?
Oh, it worked. It worked, and there was...
All right, there's the duck underneath the Cobra cannon.
Built in.
Great roll.
Just, you know.
Okay, ooh, it does work. That connects if it's a counter hit. Or the crushing blow it does, I should say.
Push him in the corner. That's what you want.
And now again, there's that distance.
Real estate.
Tried to get the whiff punish. It was very close.
With the low gun.
Close the gap and shuts down the knee and
Low.
string.
And just like that, right? There's that air mobility that I've been talking about. That's so important.
From the wake up 3.
Spawn has these huge buttons.
Tries to close the gap. Nice roll away. Sooneo just wants to say, you know what, stay away from me, dirtbag.
Even on single block, that is actually a lot of chip.
Neutral low, downward automated. Is this gonna be a KB?
You should be scared here, because fatal blow can kill.
I definitely am. And let's talk about how he hasn't been used.
Yeah, scary spot.
He hasn't been bothered with the 5 billion.
Scary spot. Those are all hit confirmable. The 3-4. Oh boy. Oh, he actually chose not to kill. Okay.
I don't...
Oh, these long range normals.
But that actually could have killed. You know, that could have just been the 1-1 into fatal.
was incredible.
The sequence and the jailing in the corner just had no answer.
Oh, this is the soul forfeit that we were talking about. So the offensive bar is gone, as you'll notice on the bottom left.
Oh,
If he finds a hit, he is going to get crazy damage.
This is looking nice.
I mean, he didn't feel
You can see, right? 3-4 is such a scary spot to be.
it all just takes just one for the snap.
Oh, that specifically beats the parry. Okay, yep, it's a low, so it beat the parry.
Not over yet.
Look at this. Look at this.
Not over yet. Number 3. Oh, okay, drops it.
Didn't want to take a risk that there was going to be a breakaway, so safety first stuff from Sooneo. The projectile special, the anti-projectile special at that range starts to be an issue.
Sweaty, but he's on life alert right now.
This is going to be a crushing blow, yeah.
Into,
And this might kill? Okay, so if there had been a breakaway there, breakaway resets damage scaling, and this definitely would have killed. I'm not sure if it kills. The RoboCop has more life than anybody else. He's tied for the most in the game.
He's alive.
Oh boy, just barely.
But he's alive.
Oh no! It was down 1? Here's what I think happened. This down one right here, my guess is back forward one, which is the low shot. Why low shot? Low shot actually ducks under high attack, high projectiles, and if it does, and you shoot the opponent underneath a high projectile, you'll get a crushing blow. Just didn't quite work out. So all right, 2-0, the Mighty Unjust. I'm talking about this as an example of somebody chasing, somebody getting chased. In this situation, you could see a lot of this is working out for Mighty Unjust. He's up 2-0. So what changes does Sooneo need to make? You know, we talked about the spacings where he feels a bit uncomfortable. We talked about the control that he can certainly bring in certain positions, just hasn't been able to find them consistently enough. There's the duck, you know, but then the follow-up mid comes that, yeah, second hit on the spawn projectile is super good. Not just for the delay, but for the fact that it's mid, the fact that you can catch people ducking, the fact that it's hit confirmable, really good. Just like that, already Sooneo stuck in the corner. Okay, I love the duck. He just ducked right under the 3. I should say it is duckable. It's a high attack.
There aren't many against spawn.
No, not at all. Look, little breakaway. Had to do it then. The damage was going to be
okay. Little whiff punish. And now Sooneo, now maybe more often trying to bring out regular grenade in this situation. Yeah, it is, again, it's plus on block. He's seen a lot of spawn just walking and blocking, and if that's something that the opponent's gonna do, it's strong, but it also means that they're gonna be blocking this plus on block grenade.
I didn't know what he was doing, but I know that Unjust was about to do the ballsiest thing.
Yeah, probably a read by Mighty Unjust that Sooneo would back up again. Just didn't come. Yeah, there it is. That mid-range grenade, you know, it feels risky, but definitely effective. Yeah, so we see more down 4. This has been one thing we didn't see in the previous 2 games. Down 4 in the corner on the right earlier in the first round. Down 4 in that situation there. It's an attack that, yeah, again, so he's getting under the 3 pretty consistently now with it. This is an adaptation.
And Sooneo doesn't want any of that and pulls himself out of the corner and says, no, I'll keep. Tries him away, gets a little bit of real estate to push back.
Right, but the 3-4, the second hit of that string, you can't duck like that.
He's a reset.
Okay, so again, hunting, chasing, Mighty Unjust, hoping that Sooneo would have backed off. Did do a great flawless block as well. Now, on block, the pushback. You can see how RoboCop, or at least how Suneo's RoboCop spends its bar, is basically just to get that range. You know, just get the distance, yes. So the meter is not so often used for combos, for up-close stuff. It's about getting distance.
Can't slip up one time right now.
There's, what a risk on that. Genius, the grenade again. And then waited. And then waited. Okay, so again, in the situation, we've talked about it before. Mighty Unjust is running out of options. Can't really afford to block much more. He's gonna be able to block one, maybe a couple, in fact, because he still has the 2 defensive bars on the left here. But not a lot. And so he threatens with the projectile absorbing special move. As you can see, Sooneo shot anyway. Like I said, you can cancel it and then continue moving forward. That's the threat that Mighty Unjust tried to put in there, but Sooneo was brave enough to shoot anyway, guessed what to do. So okay, in that game, we see some adaptations. We see Sooneo with more down 4 underneath the stand 3. That was a big part of it. We saw more grenades, not just at distance, which he had done before, but at, you know, half screen, even 1/3 screen range. That grenade's not hitting until it hits the ground, right? So it can be in the sky, it can be sailing through, you're still hittable. So there's quite a few frames there where Mighty Unjust could do whatever it may be, whatever, he could jump, he could do any of his normals that hit at that range. Just didn't think that he should. So those are some stolen turns by Sooneo at that range. That's part of what adaptation he used to get forward. All right, so 2-1. Oh, looking for it, very nice. Map awareness, super important in MK11 and really all of the recent NRS games. Gotta know where those interactables are, what you can do with them, huge, right? So now RoboCop has access to jumping away. Well, okay, not for long. TheMightyUnjust gets in.
Become a robot.
Interrupts that gorgeous wave dash that TheMightyUnjust pulled off.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
It was interactable. Keeps him at bay.
And he's out of there. Look at that. What an escape. Oh, God, I'm telling you, always 300 plus. Beautiful anti-air.
Beautiful anti-air.
Oh, an interrupt. Okay, we'll go back and talk about that just a bit. Right back into it again, and now good luck absorb. Yeah, good luck avoiding that chip. That's going to be tough. No defensive bar. Hard to do at that point. So this right here, what is this? This is a string that RoboCop has that's safe by itself. But if you want to, you can try to press the advantage a little bit more. And one way to do that is to do, he's, as you can see, about to build this offensive bar. In his mind, he thinks, okay, I'm going to do the Cobra Cannon. TheMightyUnjust is going to block. At that point, I will have developed this bar right here, and I can then push spawn out, boom, 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 right? Really far away. That's what Sooneo is looking for. Well, TheMightyUnjust knows that in this string, and actually in RoboCop's other strings too, the Cobra Cannon is not free on block in a couple of ways. One is that the first hit's a high, you can just crouch and, you know, hit him underneath it. But also it's got really big startup. And so in the situation, there's enough frames for the forward 4 from spawn, which is pretty fast, to be fair. 12 frames, if I recall correctly, to interrupt. And that is, you know, really, really good matchup knowledge from TheMightyUnjust. Super good player, like I was saying before.
Don't you ever jump at Sooneo again in your guys' lives, guys. Don't you ever.
Stop.
Just put the pad down.
So right, a little bit more on the grenade. Maybe not always amplifying. We just saw a couple projectiles that weren't amplified. Okay, there's the distance yet again. Oh yeah. Yep, 338 into, if I recall correctly, +4. There was the duck on the first hit. Wow, what a specific read. Beautiful. He didn't actually get the full combo, but still, you know, 180s. Pretty decent for RoboCop. I haven't been talking about grabs. We'll go back and talk about this in just a little bit. Looking for forward movement there. There's, again, that grenade at about half screen range that he's been bringing out a little bit more frequently. Trying to stay outside of the projectile absorb range. Meanwhile, Sooneo knows that he can't absorb much more. But he basically is where he wants to be right now. Oh my god. Okay, it was safe, like I mentioned. Oh wow, what an anti-air. Cool stuff to talk about. Here's this grab. Oh, we haven't mentioned yet, but RoboCop has crushing blow command grabs on both sides. That is to say, if he makes the opponent, if he throws the opponent and the opponent teched in the wrong direction, then the next throw that he does that is successful, whether it's a back throw or a forward throw, he can do a crushing blow. And as you can see, get 300 damage. So this zoning character also has grabs up close. I mentioned that he also has a command grab as well, if you'd like to play that variation of him. But grabs are definitely a big part of his game. And that fits well with the fact that, like, he's comfortable here, maximum range, and he's actually okay up close. Not as good as some characters, of course. He's got some stuff that's unsafe. He doesn't have the fastest options. But nevertheless, like, he's more comfortable there than at about 1/3-ish range, the range where you could see TheMightyUnjust doing things like 3-4 and being a real terror about it. Okay, so grab. And then near the end... Okay. So he finds the knockdown. Oh, right? No. Doesn't. Okay. So here. Okay. So at this spot, this is, I'm sure, plus a block at that, plus on block at that range. This is minus if you do it point blank, but at range it becomes plus. What does Sooneo want to do, right? He wants to close out the round ASAP. What would be an easy way to do that? Well, it would be to just shoot a gun. He doesn't have the ability to amplify. If he did, then he could, you know, get through this last little defensive bar and then actually get the chip kill, which is very close at this point. But, you know, pretty common for RoboCops to do a low shot in this situation right here. So very reasonably, TheMightyUnjust makes that read and goes for the projectile absorbing special. Now, again, if he had found that, that would have been, through a projectile, that would have been crushing blow. It would have been big damage. He's got access to fatal blow at this point. He's a scary guy. He could totally still take this round. But Sooneo did not give that to the Mighty Unjust. Okay, it happens. It is safe on block. And Sooneo doesn't take any risks. No risks right there for him. Absolutely just hangs out. What is this? I'm looking it up. I believe it's like -2 or 4 or something. -4. Okay. Well, look at him hanging out. He doesn't want to press anything. Why? Well, it could be that if he presses a button in the situation, maybe the Mighty Unjust flawless blocks, maybe into a launch, maybe into, after that, a fatal blow. You know, should Sooneo break away from that even? It's hard to say. So it's a set of mix-ups that he doesn't even want to get involved with. And he just doesn't press anything at all. Instead, he waits a little bit for Unjust to try something out, and then he's out of there. Right, and then ready for the anti-air. So this is super, super clutch corner play for a zoning character. If you're a zoning character, you can see how RoboCop plays, right? He's not only a zoner, but he's got great backdashes. He's just got good movement in general. And he runs away a lot of the time, at least the way that Sooneo is playing. He runs away a lot of the time. That means that he finds himself cornered a lot. You have to have that last little bit of corner play in order to sort of shore up your zoning. If your zoning is gonna end you in the corner, right? You're zoning, you're shooting, you're backing up, yeah, you're dealing some damage. Eventually your back's to the corner. If you then fall apart, well, then what was it all for? It doesn't matter. Sooneo, though, is clutch enough in that corner to survive even in a pretty bad situation. So great reads by him. So, okay, look, he's made some adaptations, hasn't he? We've talked about the down 4 underneath the stand 3. We talked about a little bit more grenades at mid-range. We talked about him playing safety first up close in that corner situation. We talked about him being ready for the interactable jump, for example. So a bunch of reads that he made. All right, Mighty Unjust makes his own adaptation. The Mighty Unjust makes his own adaptation on the character select screen.
Let's go 2-2 Sooneo, the Mighty Unjust winners top 8.
So here's the Mighty Unjust Jackie. Why Jackie? Jackie's one of the best characters in MK11. Has been the whole time. And with customs, her variation that we're about to see, take a look at it as it loads up here. Let's scoot forward slightly. There it is. Enhanced Air Blast, Bionic Bounce, Grenade Launcher. This is a really, really dangerous one. You have access to a ton of damage. You have great mobility. You have damage over time stuff. You have projectiles that can basically anti-air as well as hit on the ground. It's got a great arc to them. She's a really scary and very effective character and hard to keep out. So that's why the adaptation, again, you know, we're talking about this as a sort of classic zoning versus Rushdown matchup. It doesn't get much more classic in MK11 for Rushdown than Jackie Briggs. Okay, super interesting. Oh, I will let it run, but super interesting start with the forward too. And 2 crushing blows right off the back. And okay, that was not an escape failed. I thought that it was just a throw counter. So it didn't get the crushing blow loaded, but that's half life on 2 KBs right away. Well, okay, it took Sooneo crushing blows to get that. Meanwhile, as you can see, Jackie's just pumping out more damage than any of those KBs are gonna do for RoboCop.
Like I was saying earlier when Sooneo matched up with Kerbalicious, that Sooneo's really
Okay, good stuff. Putting himself again at distance, but distance is not always easy versus Jackie to deal with. She can do these leaps, as you can see. Now they do cost defensive bar to get different spots on them, different distances. Wow! Oh no! Wow. I just want to briefly talk about these kind of distant situations. So let's go maybe about here. After this down 2, after the pushback afterward, okay, you might think, hey, RoboCop should feel comfortable here, but not really, right? Bionic Bounce can come from really far away, which is in fact what happens almost immediately thereafter. So you still have to respect that. And in this variation of RoboCop, he doesn't actually have a projectile that kind of hits up here. You know, there is a custom move that he can use, the rocket, that does hit up here. You can feel a little bit more comfortable versus characters like Jackie, but still not a lot. Not a lot. And in any case, he can't switch variations now. He's locked in. This is, you know, he has to make this comeback from down 0-2. So he doesn't choose to zone. He just wants to try to get away. And when Jackie's up close, he is terrified. As you can see, she has some of the fastest buttons in the game, especially fastest buttons that lead into big damage and that you can't dodge right there mids. TheMightyUnjust is frozen. Look at this man.
He's done so well so far. Just to end, oh my gosh, just like that, because he calls it possible.
Right, patience. Okay, now this right here is an interactable, as you can see. It's grab. Suneo's blocking, so he gets grabbed. And he breaks away, and, you know, maybe it's just the case that TheMightyUnjust thought that the breakaway would come after, like, the stand punch. I don't know. But whatever his read on the situation was, or maybe just even mistiming, it dropped. It missed time. So this could have been match point for TheMightyUnjust. Sooneo gets a little bit lucky. Makes a good read, gets a little bit lucky, either way. Oh wow, a punish actually. Look at this price to pay. Oh man. Into her pressure yet again, she's right there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, great pickup. So now he's got the goop on him. It's a little bit of damage over time when it hits you. It's not a ton. And each time he jumps back, remember, he could do the air charge, you know? This could be him trying to take up space right away. You see him moving backwards a lot, yes, but also forward sometimes. That right there, even the jump forward kick could have been air dash after that. Oh yeah, this is a great spot right now for Unjust. Oh, the drop? Okay, Shirley chip, yeah. Tough spot. So match point now. TheMightyUnjust is able to get in consistently. Look at him just walking forward. Okay, Sooneo finally took up that spot. Now, no defensive bars means that he's not going to have access to the different ranges of bionic bounce. Wow, max range on that? That's amazing. Okay, there's the stolen turn. We talked about that before. Escape failed. He has access to that crushing blow grab. If he gets it, the match is over. I assume that break from Unjust was accidental, yeah, for sure. We'll go back and look at that, but that's my guess as well. Ah, and then the whiff punish comes. So Sooneo, you know, I said we go back and check this moment out. This is a little bit earlier. A little bit earlier. Defensive bar, yeah. Yeah, I mean, surely what's happening here, this happens to like every MK11 player, it happens to me all the time as well. What he's trying to do here is dash, crouch block. Dash, crouch block. You know, you can see it start up just before. He's walking, okay. You see him dash? You see him dash as he woke up there? The intention is dash, crouch block. If you happen to get hit right as that's happening, like just before your block comes out, and then you do down plus block, well, guess what? You have done a breakaway. So this happens to everybody. I'm sure this was unintentional. And that's a bummer, as we were saying. That means that TheMightyUnjust doesn't have access to these different ranges of bionic bounce. It means he only has the one that's, you know, maybe here, maybe this arc. There's another one where it's kind of like this. It's like really short. You know, you get to pressure well once you're up close with it. There's another one that's like almost full screen. And he just doesn't have those. So that's certainly a bummer for him as this round goes on. That counter KB had already been used. Right, there's that stolen turn. You know, we mentioned this before. This was, if you recall, a moment where Spawn, played by TheMightyUnjust, blocked. He blocked this once he went into the flamethrower and then punished. Well, here Sooneo guesses right. I mean, this is a risk to take. It's certainly a risk to take. Again, those jump backs could be the air charge afterward. And now this distance game, there's a defensive bar already back, so TheMightyUnjust has access to far bionic bounce. Right, there's the threat of it. And look at this range. Yeah, great stuff. This is exactly what comes. Oh, what patience as well. This is such a great call by Sooneo. If you're gonna play this style of zoning and runaway, again, you have to be prepared for how things are gonna go up close, because eventually that's where it's gonna end up very often. And if you fall apart when the opponent gets up close, then all the zoning you did doesn't matter. You lose anyway. So you know, people often think that zoning like this is primarily about the distance. In some sense, that's true. But if you don't have the up close game as well, you're dead. Then none of it matters after all. So this range here by Sooneo is him trying to stay away from that max bionic bounce range, which he does. He then is patient as well. What happens here? MightyUnjust does the air grenade thing. And if Sooneo had attacked too early here, he would get got. He would get got as Jackie falls with jump punch. Instead, Sooneo presses forward 3, just timed precisely for the Landsies punish. So again, just to watch it in faster regular motion, you know, look at his patience, and then attacking right away, he finds the hit. So his zoning, great. You know, that's obviously a main story of this match. But what sealed it is those situations where the opponent was up close, or maybe was about to be right up close, as Jackie tried to be right here. Thinking about corner control that Spawn had, the stand 3-4 pressure, right? Stand 3-4, Necro Blast, Amplify, all that sort of stuff, turning that into grab pressure. We saw that from MightyUnjust, and it was effective. But Sooneo was able to weather those storms. He was able to use the air charge to get out. I'm gonna go back. Production, you could have told me that we're gonna come back to the press box. You know, things. Come on, guys. That corner game is really what made the distance game count. So in terms of the sort of zoning versus rushdown battle that we're kind of talking about here, we saw a lot of zoning, yes, but we also definitely saw Rushdown work in the sense that it got Spawn up close, or at least to sort of that like 1/3 screen where his normals become, you know, really, he's got a bunch of really strong sort of 1/3 screen normals. He got that range pretty often, and nevertheless, Sooneo was able to get past that. Well, then we saw Jackie. Yes, she got pushed out. She had almost certainly the block intention that turned out to be breakaway instead. The error, the classic error. But she got up close. She was up close. I mean, got the grab interactable. Could have had the kill off of that. Just, you know, that didn't work out. So the rushdown was effective for sure. And what ended up being the difference was just a couple of decisions on that close-up defensive side by Sooneo. So I thought this was a really, really interesting match to watch on both sides. MightyUnjust is one of my favorite players to watch. I really like watching Spawn, and he plays Spawn sometimes. He often plays other characters too, as you guys have seen. If you're somebody who watches MK11, I really like his decision-making and how many characters he can play. Is super fun. But for me personally, as a RoboCop player, I really like watching Sooneo. He's got a take on the character that's a little bit different than some others. You do see some other people playing command grab RoboCop, for example, where, you know, yes, zoning is definitely a big part of it, but also if you get up close, you have mix-ups. You do see, even if it is zoning RoboCop, different special moves instead. Maybe instead of flamethrower, we'll see road spikes, for example. See the high rocket, for example. So there's like different things that you can go for. But I really like watching Sooneo's game plan. Super fun. Good work. Right, we talked about the health just a little bit, but no, you're right as well. I mean, if we can go back to the game production. Oh, that would take too long? Okay, fine. Don't worry about it then. RoboCop has 1100 health. Jackie has 950 health. RoboCop got a health buff in one of the last patches, and he was already a healthy boy, so now he's tied for the most health in the game. That means that you have a character who is not, you know, as often is the case, a zoner that if you get in on him, he dies really fast. He doesn't have like the best up close options, but he doesn't die fast. You can definitely say that about him. He definitely lives longer than most other characters. Jackie has tied for the least, by contrast. So RoboCop is not often doing a lot of damage, but that as a percentage of her health bar is greater than if it were like versus a RoboCop in a mirror match, for example. So that definitely comes up to that as well. All right. Shoutouts to top 10 RoboCop. I don't know. Anyway, really fun match. Thanks to the players. Thanks to Mr. Aquaman for streaming that and doing as much community stuff as he does. I'm intending to do more community MK11 stuff. There's just a ton of great MK11 matches like all the time. I feel like almost every night there's like great stuff that you can watch on various streams. Let me know if you'd like recommendations because there's a ton of cool stuff to watch. All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot. That's it for me up here in the press box. Let's go back down to UltraDavid on the field. Production, are you seeing this? Did you guys see this? We gotta fix that. We gotta, come on. With how much money I'm paying you, you guys can't take care of that? All right, well, thanks a lot again to David upstairs for all the analysis. I'm not much of a RoboCop player myself. Personally, I'm a Baraka player, but pretty cool to watch. I really like the sort of emphasis on Rushdown versus zoning, which exists in every single fighting game. It's always a little bit different in terms of what your options are, but the general strategies are very often the same, and this was a cool one to watch. So thanks a lot for watching. That's it for Monday Morning Quarterback. Thanks, everybody. Look, production. I mean, seriously, you guys, you can't get this together? How much could it cost? $10?